Israeli police raided the Al-Aqsa Mosque in occupied East Jerusalem during the second Friday of Ramadan, injuring over 150 Palestinian worshippers. Yet, that is not the way that most of the media right now is framing this event. As usual, they are treating this as both sides, even when it is clear in their own reporting who faced all the injuries. So, before I get into this, first I want to point out how you may be feeling some deja vu right now, because this has happened before. Last year, Israeli police stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque ahead of Jerusalem Day March. So back then, more than 300 people were reported injured. And then back in 2019, religious bodies condemn occupation police raid on Al-Aqsa Mosque. So back then, they also did it. Again, just to be clear, that is 2019. And then back in 2015, they also did it. So LA Times, 20 Palestinians hurt in clashes. More on that phrase in a minute, with Israeli police at Al-Aqsa holy site. So to be clear, that is 2015. Now, here's how the media wrote about today's events. The AP here, who I normally source, I trust, they generally do objective or at least neutral reporting. But this is, I guess, the clear issue with trying to force neutrality into an issue or into an event where clearly one side is causing all the damage. AP writing here, clashes between Israeli police and Palestinians at Al-Aqsa Mosque, a major holy site in Jerusalem, have wounded at least 20 Palestinians. And now, by the way, it's 150. It was not immediately clear what sparked the violence. Clashes. Yes, clashes. Clashes puts forward the idea that this is both sides. Both sides got hurt. They came together, they clashed, and they both were in the wrong. But of course, that's not what happened. More on that in a minute. New York Times as well. Israeli-Palestinian clashes at holy site. Sky News here. More than 100 people have been injured in clashes between Israeli police and Palestinians at Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque. And Reuters, this is my favorite one. Palestinians clash with Israeli police at Jerusalem holy site. 152 injured. Wow. So I guess they both faced equal amount of injuries. Half the injuries are Israeli police, half the injuries are Palestinians, except you scroll down and the first line. At least 152 Palestinians were injured in clashes with Israeli riot police inside Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque. How is this a clash when all of the injuries were suffered by one side? I mean, this title makes you think, oh, it's equal, but it's not. This is how you actually write a title that is objective to reality. Al Jazeera here, Israeli forces raid Al-Aqsa Mosque, over 150 Palestinians injured. Reuters could have easily wrote that in here, but they didn't. They purposely made it vague, knowing most people just read the headlines. They don't actually go and read the article. Seems like, both sides are at it again, when that's not what happened. When Palestinians were raided while they were worshiping, raided by Israeli police with smoke bombs, rubber bullets, more on that here. So Al-Aqsa Mosque firing bullets, rubber bullets, sound grenades, and tear gas at Palestinians. And by the way, there's some videos here. I'll link to those below the video on YouTube so you can watch them for yourself. And a little more here from Al Jazeera on what actually happened and what sparked this. They, meaning the Israeli police, said they went in to disperse and push back the crowd after a group of Palestinians began throwing rocks towards the nearby Jewish prayer space of the Western Wall. But Palestinian cameraman Rami Al-Khatib, who witnessed the raid, said, quote, they, Israeli forces, brutally emptied the compound. They were attacking the mosque staff, normal people, elders, young people. Quote, there were many injured people. They fired rubber bullets inside Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. They were beating everyone, even the paramedics. They hit them, said Al-Khatib. Reporting from Damascus Gate, Al Jazeera's Najwan Al-Samri said Israeli police stormed the mosque compound without pretext and assaulted worshippers near the Qibley prayer hall following the morning prayer. So according to people that were there getting beaten, it was instigated by the Israeli police. Now, let's say it wasn't. I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know. Let's say there are rocks being thrown. The response to that is to beat women, push around the elderly, which there's videos of this. I will show you. Fire rubber bullets, tear gas. That's the response to some rocks. Again, even assuming that what the Israeli police are saying is true, which is an incredible assumption because they are known for lying, consistently lying. And the video shows you here who is being brutal and who isn't. But even given their own claims of what happened, it's still the response that they have here would be insane. Showing you some of that. So Israel is not allowing ambulances into the area. So Palestinians are being forced to carry the injured out on stretchers. And again, based on who was injured, 150 Palestinians injured. How many Israeli police are being pulled out on stretchers? 0. But there are clashes, both sides. This incredible statement here. In a statement by Israeli police, they said hundreds of Palestinians hurled firecrackers and stones at their forces and toward the nearby Jewish prayer area of the Western Wall in the Old City after Ramadan morning prayers. It said police then entered the Al-Aqsa compound to disperse and push back the crowd and enable the rest of the worshippers to leave the place safely, adding that 3 officers were injured in the clashes. So this is how you know the Israeli police are lying. Because here they claim, they just went in to disperse and push back the crowd, enabling the rest of the worshippers to leave the place safely. Leave the place safely. Watch here as Israeli soldiers aggressively push around elderly Palestinian worshippers. Keep this in mind. They want them to leave the place safely as you watch this video. Yes. Leave the place safely. Please leave. Please leave safely as I push you out the door, you 80-year-old man. We know who's lying here. Also, leave the place safely. Watch as this Israeli officer, well, you're going to see. Yes, please leave safely as I smash your leg with a baton. Luckily, she had some people there, some friends to help her out. Unbelievable. Last thing here. Israeli police have stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque, attacking Palestinian journalists, worshippers, and paramedics. Here they are attacking a journalist. Clear as day. Israeli police attack a journalist, kick him while he's on the ground. These are clashes. It shows you how far the media will go to protect a far right-wing Israeli government. Because they have convinced people that if you criticize the Israeli government, it's somehow anti-Semitic. It's anti-Semitic to criticize a government, to criticize actions like that, to point out the obvious, overt human rights abuses. That somehow is anti-Semitic. And what's amazing is my coverage of this, me showing you these videos, this means for sure this video will be demonetized. It'll be delisted. It'll be tougher to find. It will not show up in search results. You may get lucky and come across it, but most people that will see this will only be subscribers of mine. That's the only audience that this is going out to. So that's how this shit works. New York Times, AP, Reuters can say, oh, these are clashes, both sides. They get propped up in search results, even though they are lying to their audiences, lying to their readers. I show you what is actually going on, the video evidence, and I'm delisted. So, if you want to support the show, hit subscribe, join if you can. There's a Patreon link as well below the video in the description box. Because this is, I'm covering this because I want people to know what is actually going on here. This is not for, my own personal gain. I get nothing out of covering this. I cover this because I need you to know what is happening. The media generally will not cover this properly. I will give a shout out though to Mehdi Hassan, MSNBC host who is usually, I think, just in the online show, but occasionally he'll fill in for hosts on the network. I think he will cover this. He's covered it on Twitter. He's covered this in the past. So he's one of the rare journalists in the mainstream press that will cover this, that will call out the hypocrisy, but it is so rare to see coverage like this. So it's just spread this video around, because otherwise it's not going to get viewed. People will not know what's going on. They'll continue thinking these are both sides clashing, when in reality, this is an incredibly oppressive right-wing Israeli government committing human rights abuses against Palestinians on a consistent basis.